Hi guys, this is Tarquin with another episode of A Clash of Kings Mountain Blade, coming right back to where we left off. Made a little bit of money and now back in this again. We see Marone with a level up. We're going to see where that went to. Well, he's going to be able to get another level into power throw from this, which is just what we want. We're going to get his throwing skill up a little bit. His two-handed skill does need to go up as well. But now we see we're going to replace his spear with some javelins in short order. Can we get any more here in Navarre? Or Mir? Is this Mir? I believe so. These javelins, not that great, of course. But I think they are the correct move. Just to get them in our group, we will happily throw them away later on, or give them to somebody else. It's still much better than nothing. And now, Marone, pretty nicely equipped. That axe does have the, well, I guess it's everything except the piercing damage that we enjoy from that horse. This reinforced kite shield, pretty nice, but just not a better look, I think, than the reinforced pavise, and just a little bit less of sizable, but still really nice shield. And by sizable I meant the HP of the shield, not the size. The size is equivalent. We are going to be looking for a fight. How best to find one, that is the question. We could now move up to these cities looking for more companions, and since we are already on this island, and it is a very large one, I feel like that is the correct move. We're not going to bother with small groups, but if we find any sizable ones, then we are definitely going to fight them. You see this, they just have a bunch of Dothraki. We don't care about that. All these Roin outlaws, if only they would group up together, then I would bother to fight them. But these slavers, just a bunch more guys that I don't care about at all. But that extra level in spotting actually coming out quite nicely for us. What we're looking for in this grouping is knights, and we're not finding them, so we'll just let those get taken by whoever it is that runs into them next. And heading over to Valisar. Not worrying about anything we run into this close to civilization. And it looks like not finding anyone for us, but is this a slaver? It is. I want to sell all of these guys, only 80 coins per unit whenever we get. Okay, well, this is what we want, is these balanced javelins. Compared to the heavy ones, are just better in every way. And so we will buy them. That's a large bag of Jared's, which we see actually has really kind of alright, but it's still just not better than the javelins pound for pound, statistically. So we're just going to buy those. The armor here, no good compared to the armor of Westeros. Their horses, fast but nothing special. We're just going to buy a couple of breads, why not, before we go and try to get the rest of our companions with some javelins on their backs. Balakwa will be able to equip them if he has not already, and then we will see if anyone needs any more. Yeah, we will be replacing this wildling shield with these balanced javelins. We see now that I think everyone who needs javelins in our groups has one, so we can be pretty happy with where we're at just right now. We're still going to go to Volantis, and so on to visit the taverns, see if there's anyone to join us. Cyril Linacquo. Oh, how he flew so high and fell so low. Then he died, and how the worms gorged on him. Seems like a weirdo poet. Okay. He was writing about a man from Kohor. He says he is a famous poet and wants to become a wandering minstrel. Okay, I accidentally had a full party. Hopefully he will still consent to come with me. Okay. We told him no once. 900 coins. Bam. Now that is Cyril. He is in our party now. We're just going to back out of this, see what skills he has. And it appears that he just has some Power Strike, Weapon Master, and Riding, Trainer, Persuasion. Alright, just pretty varied. 100 in all of his weapon skills, so just looking... Okay, he's at level 12 already. 12 strength, 14 intelligence, 12 charisma. Wow, this guy has great stats, doesn't he? Yeah, just they look to be pretty much higher than most, although Martin Snow's distribution probably going to end up a little better in the long run. This charisma is not so important for our purposes, at least not yet. We've never seen it be particularly important. But good old Cyril Linacquo, he's going to move up in the world. He's just got a nobleman's tunic and a sword, but we're going to go ahead, put him on a horse, give him a wildling shield. And we aren't going to be able to put any throwing weapons on him right now, but pretty cool. Lots and lots of companions now, and that's going to be nice when we get to wandering around. Okay, is this... No, this is another slaver. That's Timo the slaver, just wearing the clothes of that guy that we know and love as the Unsullied Salesman. We're just looking for more good javelins here. We are going to buy, I think, yeah, we're going to buy 2 of these javelins with the expectation that we will be putting them on some of our men fairly shortly. These balanced throwing spears being better in every way than the balanced javelins, I guess. Yeah, a little bit slower, same speed. Javelins don't have an accuracy rating. I guess all the accuracy that you have is what you get initially. We lose a bunch of coins, sell off some items. And wow, now with the addition of Cyril, we have so many companions that they don't fit in the first segment of our company. Very cool, though. Moving on up in the world. And I feel that as a person that finally has almost 700 renown, it's reasonable enough to think that we could carry around so many companions. We're pretty rich and pretty reputable as far as all things go, but we're just going to go to Selhorus, see if maybe we can find another companion. Why not? And no one here for us. We're just going to now go to the marketplace, as always, just looking for something really nice, but not finding it. Don't know what we expected to find. Apparently there is plate armor in the east, so we'll keep that in mind. I don't know what we would do if we found a horse we really wanted here. I guess it'd just be upsetting because we are down to 5,000 coins. However, now we've got enough javelins for the indefinite future, and hopefully that's going to turn out to be a good investment. I just can't see how it'll be terrible, and I feel like once we get a two-handed weapon on horseback and we have all of our people carrying clubs, that it's just how we're going to want it to be. It takes up one item slot, and we're definitely always going to need a shield on our characters. Now, we are just running around looking for a fight. Really kind of difficult to find anyone worth fighting on this miserable continent. We can see that there are roaming outlaws, but the rewards for killing them quite low, quite disappointing in every way. "54 pirates, that looks like a fight that we won't mind having. So we're just going to charge them and see what happens at the end of this. Serral up there on that Dothraki courser, moving pretty fast. He's brave. I will give him that. Oh wow, Serral with a kill already. We can be pretty proud of him then. And we're just trying to get some good polearm kills here. Missing repeatedly, and now we're going to unhorse and finish up the rest of this battle the old-fashioned way with the Morning Star. That guy just a little bit faster than me, pretty annoying. Of course, agility, very important to be able to get higher athletic skill, which is what lets you run around like a boss. This getting wrapped up, it is unlikely that any of the guys that we're going to free are going to be preferable to who we have already. We did lose one Stormlands Knight there. That's okay. It's not ideal, of course. We do like our Stormlands Knights, but it looks like they have some Ironborn, and that is good news. We're going to release, I think, yeah, this is what we're going to do. We're going to release a couple of the Reach Crossbowmen just to get a couple more Pentoshi Skirmishers. I really do like those Skirmishers. They spawn 100% of the time with a shield, and that, I think, is what puts them over the Crossbowmen. Those are 50 pirates, but we're not going to bother them. They don't have anything for us, probably. You could see that we only got, I think, 3 or 4 pieces of loot. Was it 5 from that battle with the pirates? Quite disappointing, expecting them to be richer than they were. But we're just running around here, looking for trouble, but not too much of it, hopefully. And it appears that these mountain bandits are just the trouble we were looking for. We're going to try to peel off some of them from the back. It looks like we have been successful in doing that. And we've got some people who joined us. That's pretty awesome. One of the guys of this land deciding to bring his mounted archers to bear for us. And we're just going to charge them. But a little slower than that, I think. Move all of our men over here. And now, for battle. Just going to be riding in, killing them around the margins. We don't like these guys that are stragglers on the outside. They distract our cavalry. But this battle, almost over already. We've got 3 kills so far. Just reaching out, touching them in the head with a spear, and then all of a sudden they don't want to live anymore. That was a pretty nice kill there. We see just threading in and out. Their reinforcements now here. We're going to tell them that we don't want them to be shooting bows anymore. Just running up and down this line and aiming at everybody's heads. Pretty nice stuff there. We do see that they have some spearmen there, so we're just going to try to run off of the periphery. See a javelin flying overhead, not hitting anyone, but it's the thought that counts, and over time we can count on our men to be better with those javelins. We're going to be putting tons of points in the future, weapon-wise, into the javelins to try to make them get better skills there. What in the world is that? That is a cool-looking guy. That is Rohava Moesia. Must be a lord. But wow, look at that. Pretty sweet armor. And a ridiculously cool-looking horse. Serio Loquo wounded. That's not really surprising, considering that he has very bad armor on. That's not really my fault, though. It is what he came with. We're going to just discard all of that, and by discard, of course, I mean let our companions carry it. There's no real reason for us to grab it. So Frelton Flowers with the level up. And for him, I think we're just going to go for more strength, more iron flesh, more points in archery, although he does go on horseback at this current moment. Alan Cargill, however, going to get... Yes, this end point is going to be necessary to catch him up to where we want him to be. That second point into power throw, another point into power strike, and weigh all of these points into throwing just to try to get him into good fighting order. Most of my men still in full fettle, as it were, and now we have actually managed to get 185 against 123. We're just going to plan this battle, dispatch the orders. We know what these orders are. The infantry in front. The infantry will be limited. One infantry. The infantry will be extremely limited. But what we're going to do is just advance up a little ways until we can convince our allies to take the field. And charge at them. Now, what we're going to do is influence this a little bit by running along this side, trying to draw some arrows in our direction. And then, as they close, now we're going to charge. Can we get this going on? Repeatedly missing these attempted headshots, and wow, now all of these arrows. We don't have time to try to be combating. We have to run away. Lots of trouble for us, but eventually that will get simpler. Just the sky totally dark with arrows. We could fight in the shade if we wanted to. No fun at all. Too many people mad at us. We could see our horse in serious trouble. Every time he runs, those arrows digging a little bit deeper into him. Very disappointing stuff there. We're going to unhorse now and get into this battle. I don't know what he was trying to prove with that tiny little axe. Nothing was working there. If these men will just not shoot at me for a few more seconds, that is what happens. We're going to make it. We're just going to start cutting down all their reinforcements as they come in. They're really not going to be able to do anything at all. Just repeatedly dying, trying to unhorse my men. Really not that big of a worry for me, because we can take it. We're going to be trying to get a big fight with their lord after this. Just a huge battle, try to get some bonus loot, try to get some bonus experience. We'll take some losses, but we can afford that. We can see that this battle now, with 85 casualties or so on their side, probably closer to 90. They do have some men left for us to kill, but it's not going to be too many more. Now Alesander Stone, being extremely powerful, proving that he's a tough guy. And wow, a veteran Bravosi archer somehow fighting for their side. Not cool. Maybe they were captured, pressed into their service. There's got to be a good excuse for this. Rohava Moisa, that cataphract, that must be what we would call him, the traditional heavy-armored, heavy-horsed guy, and he really does look sort of Byzantine in quality with those scales on his thing. That's just what I would think of as a cataphract horse, and it might probably be the name of it, which is why I have such a strong association with that name. We see, still full of people, and now with 15 heavy Stormlands Knights. I just, really an incredible group. What we're going to do now, just take that armor and these ragged fur boots, and we're going to throw them onto Serral. He still won't have any head armor, but he at least won't be so terribly vulnerable whenever we have another fight. Throwing that sturdy leather armor on him, never mind, he doesn't need those fur boots at all. And we are going to get him to end so that we can get those 2 levels into power throw immediately. And now we're going to be able to switch things up, throw him on those balanced throwing spears for him. Brendan Storm, a tremendous amount of intellect at this point, and we're just going to get his athletics up. Pretty shameful that they're in the condition that they are right now, and we can feel pretty happy about Brendan Storm. He is very cool, has been doing great work for us, and it is his surgery that really makes all of our fighting possible. We're going to put this into Power Strike, I think, and these points into Power Throw. Martin Snow shaping up really nicely. And now we are going to battle. We're going to fight Fred if we can. It looks like we're going to be able to. Just all of these mountain bandits running off from him, but now we have 108 against 116, and we are just going to go ahead and have this battle. Hopefully we will come out of it essentially unsaved, and we'll be able to... we're just going to have everyone follow us. What we're wanting is to do really well in this battle, kill a lot of them, and then run down Fred, and still have our people in good enough shape to where we can do that. Hopefully we'll be able to do so. They don't have even a number advantage out on the field over us. But what we're going to do is try to move pretty far over here on their flank, get in the shadow of this hill, so that they're not going to be able to hit us on the run-in. If they want to go toe-to-toe with our archers, well, they are welcome to try. But what we're going to do is, by wheeling around the side here, get them right in the middle, and now we charge. I'm going to try to stay on horseback for this first burst, because they will very shortly be getting a lot of reinforcements, and I'm going to want to run into them and be able to shoot at them. And now you see just all of their archers getting caught between our forces, just like what was planned. Pintoshi skirmishers knocked unconscious. That was bound to happen, and now the new enemies have arrived, and we will be running right for them. And wow, just a absolute slaughter of our opponents. We see that only a few of our cavalry have even been unhorsed as of now. And with all of these arrows coming at me, we have to think, yes, there's a nice kill by Bolakwo. Showing that our men do act actually quite smart with spears from time to time, but we can't rely on that all the time. And we're planning on unhorsing, but we're still just going to try to get some more out of our mobility here. Now, I think it is time to go into full-on crusher mode. Nice body block there to take these guys out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then more kills. And that appears to be all that's going on here. We did have 4 wounded, lots of Pintoshi skirmishers from what I saw. 3, I think, wounded. That's okay. They're a little squishier than a bunch of knights are. We see, after all is said and done, only 8 infantry on the battlefield, meaning that many of our knights still staying on horseback. Okay, it was Cyril Lenequo and 3 skirmishers that were wounded here. Huge defeat, great victory, only 4 renowned for it. But this padded leather armor, better than what we have on a couple of people probably. And so we're going to go ahead, grab it. What is good old Arato Centaurian wearing at the moment? He's got that fur armor, which is 30 and 14, slightly better, and so that's what we're going to give him. Actually, since no one else can use these javelins right now, we might as well put them on Aratos. He's just running around with a dagger, that's pretty bad, but can anyone else use javelins? That is an important question. Okay, Cyril does have the throwing spears. Graznon does not have throwing spears. Can he use them? He does not have a level in power throw. That'll be the first thing that we do with him whenever he comes back around. He has no ranged weapon specialization at all as of now, we know. So we're going to end up with 4 archers, lots of guys that are javelineers on horseback. We're going to run up here for Fred now. He's separated from all of his friends. He's not going to enjoy this. But we are going to plan our battle with the enemy and dispatch orders. And just basically probably wait for him to run on horseback in front of all of his men, pretty foolishly. and then we're going to kill him. Actually, that's just what's going to happen. I'm going to ride out to meet him in single combat, and the fate of the world will be decided. 1 slash, 2 slashes, 3 hits right in the face. And now we see their archers pretty annoyed by us. Not going to bother us any, though. We are now going to charge. They've just been running across this battlefield, and by the time that they get done shooting at me, my men will be all in the middle of their group. We're not sure what Fred's tactics were, but they're a little bit less than mine. Our battle advantage, a couple of points. You can see there we probably would have knocked that guy out if we were on a destrier, but destriers are expensive, and we are stupid players. Speaking in the third person only for the convenience of the fact that I do command many men. Not something that I do regularly in real life. Happily, I would hate to be a person like that. They are the worst kind of English speaker. Unless they are a queen, then it is not only acceptable, but in fact recommended. Lots of kills, we just running around, stabbing them in the head. None of these guys have helmets, which I think is the most striking thing about their armies. I mean, what were you thinking was going to happen? The single most important part of your body to armor, and they totally neglect it. It's probably not because they choose to, though. Maybe all that they can get on this miserable continent is straw hats. But glad to find some mountain bandits here, not at all fighting in the mountains. If we were in the mountains, we might have actually told our cavalry to unhorse. It can be a pretty strong disadvantage to be having to go up and down hills on horseback. But on the other hand, maybe we would have just gotten in the hollow of a mountain and gotten our archers to do a lot of work for us. That's probably what we would have tried to do. What we see here, we're just wrapping up these battles. Their reinforcements are always too little too late. If we can get them to being reinforced while we still have many cavalry, we see now only 17 cavalry left, so 10 of our horsemen being knocked off. But if we brought nothing but cavalry, which we couldn't quite do, of course, but if we brought nothing but cavalry, we would maybe be able to take a force like that and go into permanent charge mode, just finding their reinforcements and crushing them every time they came onto the field. But none of our side wounded. Their side totally defeated. Will we capture Fred? No, Fred of the Outlaws does manage to escape. That slave, we're just going to let him go. And we do have a heavy veil knight to look at now. Very cool. And that is what we're going to do now is an analysis of heavy veil knights. Once we let our allies grab all of these 71 items, what a lot of items. Now, what is a heavy veil knight like? We see the standard that we expect with high power draw that makes no sense, the good athletics and riding, the iron flesh, and the slightly low power strike. What is their equipment? Heavy plate armor, normal destriers, a kite shield. Okay, the Veil Knights also strictly worse than the Stormlands Knights, who, as far as we've seen, and we have seen Dragonstone, the Knights of the North, Riverlands, yes, we have seen all the Westerosi cavalry now, and the Stormlands Knights, the heavy Stormlands Knights, are unquestionably the best cavalry that we've seen so far. We are going to try to run down some mountain bandits right now. Just get a bigger battle if we can, but they split. Your luck has run out. We're just going to charge them. And after this, we're probably going to be wrapping up this video, looking to see if YouTube has processed any of my previous uploads for the day, but again, that doesn't matter so much. It's nice just to be producing the content. Eventually it will go up, and I did put up something like 13 videos yesterday, so I doubt anyone is watching every single one of them. But now this battle, starting off, I'm going to get off this horse and try to kill. And it looks like that was a good move. 2 kills, and now just in the middle of all of them, and we're not stopping until they're all dead. Each of these kills getting us about 100 experience, getting us just a little bit closer to God tier status, to that 30 charisma that we want when we grow up, to being just like Robb Stark. But now, a huge amount of them dead. When their reinforcements show back up, then we'll kill them too. We see that though we killed them so quickly that the reinforcements almost didn't have time to get onto the battlefield. Very funny stuff. And they're just now popping in there at the edge and getting killed. The Heavy Veil Knight doing alright, but making us sad when we compare them to the Heavy Destriers that characterize every single Heavy Stormlands Knight. And hopefully our companions are going to be able to grab that too. 33 items in that pool. Very nice. 61 Pentoshi skirmishers. This actually promises to be kind of interesting. Maybe we'll get some javelins out of this. But we are going to lead our troops here. And because these are Pentoshi skirmishers, we're going to want to do this a little bit smart. And what is going to pass for a little bit smart here is waiting in the shadow of this hill until they arrive to us, and then we're going to crest the hill, get into their line of sight, and try to attack them. There are 55 Pentoshi skirmishers on the battlefield now, so we're going to see how effective their javelins are against our knights and us, and we might be running into a bit of trouble. And if we take severe losses here, no one to blame but Alesander Stone. We're not going to blame me. We'll say it's not my fault. But will they start pulling out those javelins? No, not yet. You can see that they want to. But wow, huge amount of damage done to my horse. But they are on the back foot now, and I think this is probably going to be it for them. Taking way more damage to my horse than I wanted to at short range. And now, more skirmishers out here on the battlefield. Ended up being pretty easy for us, but we do have a whole lot of heavy horse, and the positioning certainly to our benefit here in this battle. I wonder how good those helmets are. They are probably not plate status. I would have remembered a thing like that, I think, from looking at the skirmishers oh so long ago. But maybe they will sell for a nice amount. That's the end of this. Crushing through them pretty nicely. We're going to find the closest place to us. Maybe it's Pentos. And try and sell off all of this stuff that we've been getting lately. What are the items like? Plated leather boots, pretty alright, and then these kite shields, actually very nice. And those are all the ones that we have that are not battered kite shields, so those are the ones that we're going to get, yeah. And now, to upgrade our companions a little bit, we see someone with a wildling shield, and then immediately we say, well, we can put some plated leather boots on you, and then get you a better shield. That'll make you happy, won't it? Maybe even put some padded leather armor on you. Why not? Can you use javelins, though? No, you can't. Well, not everyone can be happy immediately in life. Felton Flowers, now getting that shield. Oratos can use a better shield, and will. Get one now. Again, we are just going to actually go ahead and put those javelins on Oratos just because we don't have anyone else who can equip them right now. We're going to try to remember that he has them equipped for the future. But, okay, Pentos quite far away, Bravos on our way home, so that's where we're going to be running now. We won't expect any fights on our way, and indeed we are not going to get into any. We never ended up giving that kite shield to someone. We see now, wow, so many items. Hundreds must have been. And now we're up at 1,200 gold again. Thick light plate armor, not that good. Odd pointy hats. I can't imagine a situation in which that pointy hat would be better than what we've got going on. Reinforced Pavis, excellent, excellent item, and we are going to buy it immediately. It's even got a little fancy thing drawn onto it. Pretty cool. We're going to give this kite shield to Colin the Mute, and this reinforced Pavis to Finna, who is our favorite person. You can see that she has a very nice horse, great items, and of course the only female in our entire army. But I've always liked Finna, and I hope she likes me too. We're just going to run to Goldtown now. Hopefully not have any events while on the water. And then in Goldtown, we're just going to see if there's anything worth buying. Some war maces, some two-handed maces, something like that. There's a feast in the north. I still have managed to not care about that. And now we see some leatherworks for sale. Not that impressive to me, but going to sell those shields. Chipped war mace we are not going to buy. We are not going to get an inferior item just because it's there. This Lordly Houndskull helmet we are going to buy. Very cool. It looks slightly different than the thick pigface clap visor, and we're going to wear it. Now, it does require 13, the visor that we just had, as this great bassinet does. Martin Snow might be able to wear it, and he can. Now he is looking very impressive. We're going to go to Cyril, who can now wear this kettle hat. And we see that our party coming together pretty nicely. A huge amount of people in my service now, most of them on some pretty good horses. And we're just going to run over to Iron Oaks, see what's going on here. Is there anyone in the tavern? We have to feel as though we've gotten almost every companion at this point. We know that there are a couple that we've seen that we don't have with us, but many, many are in our company now. We could get this timid destrier, but again, heavy destriers are what we want, specifically heavy ones. Since a horse is a significant investment, we want it to be the absolute perfect ones before we start dropping serious money on it. This is a war mace, not a heavy war mace, and it will do. We're going to buy that for Cyril. And when we get up to Sisterton again, we're going to be able to buy 2 long hafted maces for our men. That's going to be pretty nice. I'm not decided yet who they're going to go to, but I'm sure it won't be terribly difficult to find out which of our troops is going to be the most optimal there. We're basically going to go to everyone with a good amount of strength and a spear, and then we're going to replace that spear with, assuming they already have javelins, we are going to replace that spear with a long hafted mace. And I meant to end this video a while ago, but as always, the best laid plans come to ruin, and we are still running around probably 20 minutes later. See that there is a male destrier for sale here. I am not interested in that, though. That is not good enough for me. What is good enough for me is these heavy long-hafted spiked maces and the long-hafted spiked mace. Equally acceptable. And then we're just going to buy some grain, because that's what you do when you're at a place like this. And now, for two-handed weapons, our archers will never be in a situation where they are the people equipping two-handed weapons. Now finally, 10 strength for Colin the Mute. Going to get him this extra level into Power Strike. But Canute Bandside, with that axe, we're going to leave it on him for the moment, giving that heavy spiked mace to Martin Snow in case he's unhorsed. Giannis still has a spear, but now rocking out the heavy long spiked hafted mace. And we can see that once we get some new armor on him, we can be pretty happy about his position in the world too. And just gradually making all of our people look like very scary knights, which is indeed what they are becoming, is battle-hardened men and women in the case of Finna, who you do not want to mess with at all. We're going to stop off at White Harbor. Do the merchants have any coin for us? They do. We're going to buy some more of that, sell this spear. By some more of that, I meant to say we're going to buy some more land, which is what we did. War maces, not high quality ones, we're not going to buy them. I don't know why we're looking at the armor. We would only be sad we cannot use any of it right now. That's pretty interesting. It takes the body armor and transfers it in, and that's actually extremely affordable as well. Pretty cool stuff. That heavy plated leather jerkin. You're sacrificing 14 body armor and 4 leg armor for 11 head armor, but I just feel like that's probably not the perfect thing to do. But this is us going into a tavern just to make sure, is there a slaver inside? No, just Manfred, just sellswords. No one for us. But this is Tarquin signing off. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed those big pitched battles with the mountain bandits. The next video will probably be a bunch of wildling hunting, unless I am called to war, in which case I will happily answer the call. I am anxious to test out all of my new gear on a foe that is more equal of our capabilities. If not, we're just going to fight around for a few more months till we can buy some plate armor, and then we're going to start kitting our guys up in very short order. This is Tarquin. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.